via Zoom is a member of the Global Yiakl Diplomacy Task Force, supporter of Afar vision for decentralized constitutional model for Eritrea. He is also a founding member of Team Pride Advocacy Group. Please welcome via Zoom, Yonas Woldu.
Okay, thank you. Everyone can hear me, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sir,
thank you.
we hear you.
Excellent, excellent. So thank you. First, I want to start off by thanking Eritrean Afar National Congress, Brother Hamid, and everybody who worked together to set this up and giving us all an opportunity to engage and understand where we are. And I also want to thank all the speakers who spoke before me. You guys spoke eloquently in the Afar language, in Tigrinya, and in English. I understood most of the things that were said. And then I want to share my observation, and I'm a big believer in Indigenous rights and also human rights. And I believe that's the recipe for this. You see, I'm with Bayto Yiakl USA. I'm in the diplomacy department. And so in diplomacy, you always have to be able to communicate with one another and come to reason with one another. And at the end of the day, if you observe African history, our big two problems is lack of solidarity and lack of justice. Lack of respect in indigenous rights, lack of respect in human rights creates lack of solidarity. And then it allows the outside world to infiltrate and cause the problem that we have now. Lack of justice, when we don't have a justice system of right or wrong, a due process, and so forth, it creates the oppression that we see right now. So the solution is going to be solidarity and justice. The solidarity is going to come from respecting indigenous rights and respecting human rights. By default, we'll be able to create a solidarity in Eritrea from both minorities and majorities in terms of population because we have the rights that we're respecting and protecting. Then the next part, centralized government versus decentralized government. The reality is this. Right now, most of you people, everybody here, live in a decentralized government. You live in a federal system because it works. Centralized system does not work. And the evidence is the reality. The evidence is the experiences. And so we have to advocate, number one, indigenous rights, number two, human rights, and number three, a system that creates a system that can govern this. Naturally, Eritrea is a diverse nation. Naturally, Eritrea has its regions and so forth, and it has its cultures and religions and so forth. So all that can be managed. Here in America, we have multiple diversities, multiple religions, multiple ethnicities, multiple countries, because everyone is migrated here at one time or another. And so we have the blueprint. And then one thing I would like to add that's important is because I came here in 1984, year after year after year, there was refugees that came after me. Before that, some people came as refugees, some people came as education, through education visa and so forth. So the fact that we're coming out here means that we have Eritreans all over the world, in America, in Germany, in France, in Italy. So that means by default, we are an international nation. So post-Isaias, given that we're in solidarity, given that we respect the justice system, Eritrea is going to be a very, very fast booming society. And the reality is the people on the ground who are physically in Eritrea, they are suffering. And so what we must do is to relieve their suffering, bring awareness of their suffering, and get the international community involved with the solution, which is solidarity of indigenous rights, human rights, which is a due process for justice. Now, Isaias can't be Isaias, or a dictator can't be a dictator without support. So in diplomacy, our aim is to literally stop his financial support globally. That's why we're pushing things like the Magnitsky Act and so forth. And every country, even in your country, in Canada, in Australia, in Europe, and so forth, they have a form of it. And so the reality is we have to focus on disrupting their financial system. Then by default, the people on the ground can do what they have to do to gain their liberty. So in closing, what I want to say is there's things that change is inevitable, but there's things that don't change. The desire to have peace, the desire to have freedom, the desire to have liberty, that does not change. That's always the answer. Peace is always the answer. So because it doesn't change, our behavior has to change to create that reality of our desire. And it comes down to protecting indigenous rights, protecting human rights, and having a federal system, decentralized system that can help us govern one another and protect one another. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak, and thank you for this event.